Since before I could remember, magic had come naturally to me. A gift from the yokai side of the family, I was told. Even when I was a toddler, I had shown impressive talent for it, floating little balls of kitsune by, the heatless blue-white foxfire, through the halls of the temple. As I'd gotten older and my magic had grown, a few of the monks thought Master Isao should put a binding on me, sealing away my power so I wouldn't hurt anyone or myself. Wild kitsune were notorious troublemakers. They weren't inherently malicious, but their pranks could range from merely annoying to truly dangerous. Better that I didn't have that temptation, at least according to Denga and a few others. But the master of the Silent Winds Temple had adamantly refused. Fox magic was part of a kitsune's life, he said, something as natural as sleeping or breathing. To deny it would do more harm than good. That's a quote from Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This is YA Book Chat, and I'm your host, Leah Stuhler.
Hey, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire. We're the hosts of Fictional Hangover podcast.
Fictional Hangover is a podcast about young adult and new adult books, series, authors, and voice actors that is full of spoilers.
New episodes are released every Wednesday. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts or on fictionalhangover.com.
Remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book. Now, back to the episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of YA Book Chat. Thank you so much for being here and for listening. And if this is your first time, welcome to the podcast. Today, I am going to be chatting about the book Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. And I really hope I didn't mispronounce your last name, Julie. And if I did, I'm really sorry. But this is the book we are going to be chatting about. And joining me today is my friend Amanda from the Fictional Hangover podcast. Hey, Amanda, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I haven't had you here in a while, so it's nice to have you back.
Gosh, I know. I feel like it's been 100 years. What did we even talk about the last time I was on? I can't even remember.
I can't either, which is not good.
It's been too long.
It has been too long. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm excited to talk about this book today.
Me too. This one was not even on my radar, so thank you for forcing me to read it.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to do that anytime. I think vaguely heard about this book somewhere and was like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting, but I hadn't gotten around to it forever. And then when I was looking for another book, I was like, oh man, what am I going to read next? Of course, I did not pick any of the poor, lonely books sitting on my TBR shelf. I picked a different one completely.
Of course, because no one ever touches their TBR. It's not a thing. It's not a thing that people do.
Nope, not at all. We just get more and more books there, but they don't ever get touched. So, but yeah, so I picked this one and I think it's going to be really good. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your podcast, Fictional Hangover?
All right. So, hi, I'm Amanda. I am a librarian in real life and a podcast host in virtual life. Fictional Hangover is a young adult and new adult podcast all about books and authors and voice actors, and it's full of spoilers. And each episode, kind of like yours, we talk about one book each episode, but mine is, oh my God, all spoilers all the time. They're ridiculously long episodes, but they're so much fun. And at least once a month, my co-host Claire and I get to talk to an author or a voice actor of one of the books that we talk about. So it's a lot of fun. We've been doing it for forever. We're in year 5 of Fictional Hangover. It's never going to end.
Well, I mean, there's just loads of books, right? So thankfully, we've got books to keep us busy for forever, which is awesome.
An infinite supply. It's amazing.
Yes, it's perfect. I keep feeling like when you said you were a librarian, some days I feel like I really missed my calling in life. Like I should have been a librarian.
It's never too late. It's never too late to become a librarian. Yeah, you got to get a master's degree, but you know what? It doesn't take that long. It's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
I think I'm done with school. Well, I say that, but I work at a school. I'm a teacher, but I mean
Right?
it.
You're never done with school.
No, I'm done. I'm done learning myself at school, like where I have to pay for it to take classes.
Yes. Well, you can be a library assistant and just go in right now with all of
There
your
you go.
knowledge that you already have, and you'll be perfect and everyone will love
That's true.
you.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do that. We shall see.
You can do it. I believe in you.
All right. All right. Well, let's get started. And just as a reminder for all my regular listeners, and if you're new, this is for you too. We will do the first 15-ish minutes spoiler free, and then we'll dive into spoilers after that. And I will be sure to give you a warning before we hit the spoiler zone. So let me give you guys a plot overview first. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This is a Japanese mythology inspired story. Every millennium, whoever holds the scroll of 1,000 prayers has the power to call the great kami dragon from the sea and ask for one wish. The time is near, and the missing pieces of the scroll will be sought throughout the land of Iwagoto. When demons kill half-kitsune Yumeko's adoptive family, she's forced to flee her home with one part of the ancient scroll. Fate thrusts her into the path of a mysterious samurai, Kage Tatsumi, who is Yumeko's best hope for survival. But he's under orders to retrieve the scroll. An uneasy alliance forms, and Yumeko begins the deception of a lifetime, knowing her secrets are more than a matter of life or death. They're the key to the fate of the world. Boy, talk about needing to keep secrets for a big reason, right? Only the fate of the world relies on you keeping the secret.
Not that important at all.
No.
It's fine.
Of course. Well, tell me what you enjoyed about the book or thought about it overall.
Okay, so this book reminded me of, and God, people are going to be like, oh my God, Amanda, you're such a nerd. I really got like Dragon Ball vibes from this, and like it's got so many like fallbacks to anime and the different archetypes of characters and things. And to me, it felt like it was the journey that they go on is very episodic. So it's like, okay, well, this chapter is going to be episode 1 of the anime, and this chapter is episode 2 of the anime. And I don't know, it was really fun. And I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook was fantastic because it had multiple narrators.
Okay.
So anytime we had a Kage chapter, the narrator was really, really fantastic. And Yumeko had her own narrator, and Suki had her own narrator too, which Suki isn't mentioned very much, but she had a good voice actress too. They were all of the voice actors did a stellar job with this book.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Are you passionate about writing or just love the arts? Tune in to the Poetry Podcast with A. Discover the latest trends in the industry, enjoy insightful book reviews, participate in Q&As, listen to captivating poetry readings, and get inspired by author interviews. We release episodes on the first 3 Thursdays of each month. Don't miss out. Come check us out at the Poetry Podcast with A.
Really cool. And listening to you, so it's Kage.
Yes, yeah, Kage.
Me, the whole time reading it in my head said cage.
Well,
like
because cage is like, cage, I'm a badass, you know, I'm a big, strong cage.
Samurai guy.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's Kage. It's Kage.
Just shows y'all how much Japanese I know. Uh-huh.
No, but can I tell you the most important thing about you calling him Cage is that like you can tell that you read the book and that's how you
Mhm.
learned that word and that you said it your own way in your own head and that's just a beautiful thing.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel like I do this so many times though, like I pronounce things and then I'm like, in my head, and then I listen to the audiobook later on. I'm like, oh, that's how that's supposed to
Who
be
are they
pronounced.
talking about? What is this?
I
What
tell
is
you, I tell you what, I listened to the both the audiobooks for Gilded, and I'm listening to the audiobook for Cursed now, the sequel. And let me
Mhm.
tell you, like, I can't even, I mean, God bless Rebecca Soler for all those German pronunciations, because when you look at them in the hard copy of the book, like I have the Cursed from the library right now because my edition is the Fairy Loot Special Edition. And so it has yet to even ship
Yep.
to me, has
Yep.
not even shipped yet, which is fine. It'll be worth it. But anyway, so I put it on hold. So so I'm looking at it in the book and I'm like, wow, yeah, there's no way I could ever have learned to pronounce that word. So, but Rebecca Soler does a beautiful job. And like that's how it is with like all these books that I read. I never know how to pronounce things. I just make up pronunciations in my head. So it's fine. Yeah, so I liked the feel of it too. I have to admit, I have not seen very much anime, only very little, but I do really love the Japanese mythology and the Japanese influence in this. It's fantastic. I looked up a bunch of the Japanese mythology from the story so that I could kind of see how much of it, like how true to it she was, and if she
Mm-hmm.
took some of it and like changed it for the story, because sometimes the authors will do that too. So I did do a little bit of research on that. Okay, my only thing with what, and this would have, if I had listened to the audiobook, this wouldn't have been an issue, but because I was reading it on my Kindle, like I don't I don't know how it is in the like, the hard copy of the book. I would imagine it's the same as it was on my Kindle, but it only had chapter titles. It did not have names of the
Oh.
characters. So I read, the introduction with Suki, which is fine, right?
Uh-huh.
But and then I get to the first chapter and it's in Yumeko's perspective. And I'm like, okay, this is great. And then I start reading the next chapter. And again, there's no name on it, only a chapter title. And so I'm thinking I'm still reading her story. And then I'm like, something's not right. This is not her. This is weird. What is happening? And then I realized it was Kage. And I was like, oh, so it was frustrating when I
Oh
was
my
reading it because I
gosh.
never knew right away whose POV we were in. Like eventually I got used to it and I could figure it out once I, got used to more of the character voices. But
Mm.
at first it took a little while because I was like, what is happening? So that was kind of frustrating.
I cannot
So,
imagine how confusing that
mhm,
must have been for you because
yeah,
with the audiobook, it's a different narrator each time. So
right.
you automatically know when Husky Kage Cage is there. You're like, oh yeah, okay.
Right? Totally different voice from a girl.
Yes.
So, but I was like, and then was thinking, I'm like, I don't think I've ever read a book before that had multiple POVs where there wasn't a name at the start of the chapter to let you know who it is who's speaking.
Yeah, I feel like I cannot think of any off the top of my head that have been like that either. I mean, like right now, we're reading for the podcast one of my favorite series of all times. We're reading The Raven Boys, The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater,
Mhm.
and each of the chapters, I don't. It's not like omniscient, but they like flow between whose chapter it is, and you can't really tell, but you can
Mhm.
obviously because of the text, but I could that's kind of my only comparison right now because
Yeah.
there are multiple characters and you're inside their heads at different times. So it gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
So I can see. How that's troublesome to you too.
Yeah, so I was definitely confused for like the first 4 or 5 chapters until I really like it took me a minute to really get into each of their voices. And then I was like, okay, so we've switched now. Because it's not always like back and forth. It wasn't always Yumeko Kage. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have 2 chapters in a row of the same character. So it's like, okay. But
Yeah,
it was fine.
and then sometimes like they're together. So
Right.
who's telling the story right now? Oh man, that must have been so just like bonkers for you to read.
It really was because you're reading the chapter from one character's perspective, and then like the next chapter switches to the other character, but it still like picks up from the exact same spot. You're just seeing it from the other character's point of view. And it did take me a little while to adjust because I didn't have that little thing there to tell me whose chapter it was.
I feel like if you're obviously going to read the rest of the series, you need to listen to the audiobooks.
Okay.
I think you'll love them 1,000 times more.
Okay, maybe I will do that then.
Yeah.
All right. Because I definitely, I do have both of the other 2 books on my Kindle already, but maybe I'll listen to the audiobook. That might be better. We'll see.
It will be slightly less confusing, I hope.
Yes. Or no. Wait, because I started the second book. The second book has the names on it.
Oh, well, maybe Julie Kagawa was like, you know what? I need to stop messing with people's heads.
Yeah. It could also be because of what happens at the end of this book. Maybe we needed to make sure we're more specific and we know who's Edward. But,
Yeah.
because stuff kind of changes a little.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really liked it too. The only thing I kept on thinking in this, because there's, like you said, it is very like episodic, but then there's like all these parts to the quest that have to be done in order, for Yumeko to keep the scroll safe. And I kept on thinking like, how far is this book going to go? Like I was always like, is she going to get all the way to this specific destination she needs to get to, or are we not going to get there? And I kept on thinking, it was just, I couldn't tell, how far it was going to go, like how much would be covered in this book versus how much would be in the other 2 books too.
Yeah. I guess I kind of thought, because there are 3 parts of the scroll. So I thought each book is going to be about a different part of the scroll, maybe.
Yeah. I'm not sure though.
I'm not sure either. I've only read the first one, so.
I don't know. I feel, it's hard to tell. So I don't know. And I only read like 4 or 5 chapters maybe so far into the second book.
Yeah.
And it still has the feel of it's only going to be this one part of the scroll, but we could get to said location and then find out something different. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Not quite there yet. But I really enjoyed too that there was lots of secrecy in it because, she's keeping a huge secret from Kage and that she's holding the scroll and he's hunting for the scroll and he has no idea that she has it. And I think it's hilarious.
Can I tell you that bothered me a little bit? Like, how do you not realize that she is carrying this scroll? She's got this and like, it's in a case and she keeps it under her robes and stuff. But like, come on. How are you not going to figure that out?
I did feel like at certain points that he was going to kind of see through her story because it wasn't the best one. Like when when she tells them right away at the beginning, the masters sent the scroll away with someone else. And I'm going to follow up on it. I was like, wow, that's a really bad lie. Like really, but somehow he did not see that lie, smart as he is. I was like,
I guess, he's a super strong samurai and she's just a tiny little girl. So why would she lie to you as a giant, terrifying samurai? Like,
true.
She has no reason.
Right.
There's no reason to lie to him. I don't know. That is a weak explanation, and that's all I got.
It really was, but it worked for her.
It was bad, yeah.
I don't know. I just kept thinking, like, when is he going to figure this out? I kept on thinking he's got to figure this out in this book, right? Like, when is it going to happen?
I really, really thought he was going to figure it out. I really did, but nope. They did
Not
not.
what we think. No. I do love to, well, and what I kept thinking about also was, what is he like? The further into the book we got, I was like, ooh, what's he going to do when he does find out that this whole time that piece of scroll was right under his nose? Like, I kind of really want to see that reaction and that moment, which is why I'm so excited to read the next book, because I'm like, I have to know how he feels about this. Ooh, I may have just given a little tiny spoiler there.
You might have. But I feel like we've been talking for almost 15 minutes.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
The only other thing that I did want to mention before we do go into like full spoilers is we can tell this is going to be like an enemies to lovers story, which I love. That is my favorite. I don't know why, but enemies to lovers is my favorite love trope. So it makes me excited. Oh, ooh. Y'all, Amanda's got this look on her face right now.
No,
all right, let me hear it.
I'm fine. No. I'm fine with it. I like a good enemies to lovers too. I'm fine with it. But I just, not every single book needs to have a romance plot line. And I would have been fine without one in this one. In this one especially, I would have been fine without one because we've each got our own things going on in our lives, and they don't necessarily mix very well.
That's very true. That's very
true. Can't we just be, a ragtag group?
I will say, though, that it's not heavy in this book, though, at all. And with the way it ended, I feel like it may not be that heavy in book 2 either. Like maybe book 3 is really where it ends up. I don't know. But it was there, but not in a large way.
Yes.
At least. So
yeah. And I really appreciated that because, for me and for the entire plot of the book, it's about their story. It's about where they're going and their quest that they're on. And, maybe there's a little bit of a flirtation and that's fine. But seriously, you've got a piece of a dragon scroll. You need to protect it with your life.
Yes. Forget the boys. Yeah.
Forget the boys right now. That can be your wish when you get your wish
right
from the dragon. That's what you wish for at the end of it all. If that even happens, I don't know.
We don't know. I think though, like it's kind of this is going to sound weird, but it's almost like an Anna complex from Frozen because she's been living with these monks her whole life and has not known the outside world. And all of a sudden she's thrust into the outside world and she meets a man. Oh, okay. I didn't know this was possible. I've never felt these things before. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of like Anna in a way. Thankfully, she doesn't agree to marry him as soon as she meets him. So that's fortunate, but
I really like that. I really like what you just did there. That was
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I feel like for some reason, I feel like I have gotten really good at Frozen and like Frozen 2 analogies and fitting them into my these books somehow. I don't know why, but it's been happening more and more lately.
I feel like you need to have a spin-off podcast and it's just all Frozen themed.
I probably could.
Do it.
Because I've seen Frozen and Frozen 2 so many times, like I could compare it to anything at this point. Oh man.
I think you should try it. Just do it for a month or two. Just see what happens.
See how it goes.
See if anyone notices.
Maybe I'll do some bonus episodes like that for my Patreon members.
You should. That would be so
hilarious. If anybody would appreciate it, the people on that would. My Patreon members would definitely appreciate it. I can picture Bethany right now nodding her head. Yes, I will do it.
Yes, I agree. Bethany is all on board. She is on board for this.
She totally would be. All right. Well, let's dive into spoilers now. That is enough of that. Okay. So if you have not yet read Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa and you do not wish for anything to be spoiled, then this is where you would stop listening, go read the book, and then come back and finish the episode after you read it. Like now within the next 30 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. But if you have read the book or you don't care about spoilers, then please continue listening. All right. So, yeah, let's talk about Suki. Like I fell in love with her right away, just in that introduction. And I was, oh my gosh, that poor girl met such
Yep.
a beastly, ghastly end.
Yep.
Like
Immediately murdered.
immediately murdered, right? she and she when she's like on her way to go, to see Lady Satomi that first day, and she meets the man who appears later again in our book. You know what I thought of?
What?
The first thing I thought of was, well, when she was meeting him, is I thought about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, when she's a young girl and she meets, I can't remember his name, and she meets the man on the bridge, and he's really kind to her. And then after that, like everything she does is, to get near him, and then she does. But like, I thought of that meeting from that movie when Suki meets, what's his name?
What is his name? I have gone blank on his name.
All I can remember is his Oni no Mikoto name from when they meet him later, because that's the name that he's given because he, terrifies people on the bridge.
Yes.
But
Which I loved that, because he's like so sweet. And like when you first meet him and all the girls are swooning over him, and then he's just, killing everyone on the bridge.
When you
Nobody can defeat him.
You find out it's the same person. It's like, what? Like, it took my brain a little while to wrap my thoughts around that. I was like, wait, this is the same guy? Because even then, after they meet him on the bridge and they go through that whole thing and they battle that ridiculous, like super crazy demon possessed centipede thing, right? Like then he decides to travel with them, and he's like all normal, and I'm like, okay, all right. Sure, we're back to like Mr. Nice Guy now. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine.
I really did like him a lot, though.
Yeah, me too. Now, let me tell you something that it got on my nerves a little bit. When they meet the Ronin, and, he's just stereotypical drunken Ronin guy.
Yep.
And he's drunk all the time. It bothered me so much. And I don't know if it was just because of the audiobook or whatever, but he kept calling himself a dog. And I wanted to be like, you're not a dog. Stop it. Stop it. Stop calling yourself a Ronin dog. Like,
I'm like, you're better than that.
You're better than that. You are. But he called himself a dog so many times, and I just wanted to shake him. Right?
Because he kind of betrays them at first. But then,
he does.
He does. But then he's like, oh, screw it, I'm going to help you guys, and he helps them, and then he's with them the rest of the trip. And I was like, okay, well, that's a nice 360 that just happened there within like 2 pages. But whatever. I really liked him a lot. He was our comic relief too.
He was. I feel like, and Yumeko was huge comic relief as well, because like you were saying in the first 15 minutes, like she's been living with monks for her entire life, and now she's out in the real world and she doesn't understand sarcasm, and it's hilarious.
And then she's never had anything to drink before. So when she drinks with the Ronin for the first time, that was also hilarious.
Yes.
It's like such a fun scene. Yeah. I love that Suki, poor baby. Like, and what a violent death, getting like torn to shreds by the Oni and all those demons. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But like, I love that she then decides to like haunt Lady Satomi.
Yes.
It's like, of course you did. That's fantastic.
I'm really hoping she like comes back in like full force and she's like some horrific beast later on in life.
I do too. Because we do see her again, like, and she ends up helping Yumeko and company at the end, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that we get to see more of her too in the next book.
Yeah.
But yeah. And okay, so Yumeko, so she's a kitsune. So this was one of the things that I looked up about Japanese folklore, because I had never heard this before, and I was like, what is a kitsune? They describe it in the book, but I wanted to look it up too. So I love it. I think it's really cool that she's, like half fox. She can shapeshift, but then she can she looks in the mirror and she can see her fox ears and her tail, but then other people can't see it.
Yes, it's precious. And I love that kitsune are like super tricksters. And
Mm-hmm.
she's spending the first part of the book when we're first meeting her, like turning cats into teapots and just messing with people. And I love it. She's such a good character.
I also have to say, I very much appreciated the scene where she has to light all the hundreds of candles in the one
Yes.
room. And she's like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to use my kitsune magic. And like, she's like, the monks are going to kill me for this, but I don't really care. I'm just going to do it because who wants to spend like hours lighting hundreds of candles in a room?
Yeah.
I totally felt her on that. I was like, what? I would have done the same thing, sweetheart.
Yeah, like she has got fire magic and all she has to do is just,
Right?
and there it is. I would
Just
totally
use
do
it.
it all the time.
If I had fire magic, especially now, the thing about her fire magic is it doesn't actually hurt anybody. Like it's like ornamental fire.
Yes, it's decorative fire.
So it's like if I had that kind of power, I would use it all the time because I would
Yes,
know I
same.
could never really hurt anybody with it.
Yeah,
But
same.
people would get scared. And then I could do, things like that, like 100 candles at a time if I wanted to.
Yep.
Not that I even need to, but should
You
I
never
ever want
know.
to?
You never
don't
know.
I mean, who knows? But I love it. She's so fun. Yeah. So I looked up so I saw that and all the information and then the yokai, which just means that they're like a supernatural creature.
Mm-hmm.
And we have lots of those. Lots of those.
Lots of them.
Yes. I learned about many different animals and yokai, I should say, not animals. There are lots of different ones in this book. So
Yeah.
I couldn't even keep up. I was like, wait, what is that one? Oh, now we have a new one. Okay. But she's a yokai. And of course, if Kage knew that, he'd like slice her down.
Yeah.
Because he hunts them.
Yes, everyone seems to hate them so much. And like, look at her. She's tiny and precious. And she plays pranks on people all the time, but she's tiny and precious, so you have to keep her safe.
And she's like a cute yokai because she's a fox. Like, how can you hate a fox?
Yeah.
She's not one of those other weird creatures that the Wind Witch has,
No, she's not a blood centipede or whatever that terrifying monstrosity was.
Yeah, or that ridiculously humongous spider that he kills at the beginning.
Yes.
Okay, totally got Hobbit, like not the Hobbit.
Yes.
It's the Lord of the Rings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings vibe from that. Shelob, the humongous spider.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, oh, we got one of those. Awesome.
But there was a giant bear too, right?
Yeah.
They fought the giant bear. See, it's like, it's just every single episode of our cute little anime that we're making.
Yes. All and of the different things.
Yes.
And in today's
episode, fall off a bridge and kill a bear.
Yeah. I was kind of like, it was like each chapter I was like, okay, what's it going to be this time? What's coming up now? Where are we going? The centipede though, really, like, I'm telling you, like, of all the things, that would be the worst for me. I'm just not a like creepy, crawly kind of I can handle spiders. Fine. Roaches disgust the crap out of me. And we have a lot of them here where I live and it's ridiculous. But centipedes, like I can't do. And I think what makes it even worse is we used to watch Billy the Exterminator. Have you ever watched this?
Oh, yes. No.
Okay.
Oh.
So I know most of the episodes were fine, but there was this one episode where he went to this person's house. It was like an apartment, and the guy had left the apartment, but he left they're like these poisonous Vietnamese centipedes, and they were humongous and nasty. And when I tell you that after watching that episode, I had nightmares, I'm not joking. I literally had nightmares about those things attacking. So centipedes are like the worst for me. So when I read that, I was like, I can't. Probably better I read that and didn't listen to that on audiobook. That would not have been good.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So I don't know about you. I don't know if it was different or not listening to it versus reading it, but like, okay, when they talk about the sword, right? Kage's sword, the demon slayer. Mm-hmm. The sword was the demon slayer. Okay. We have like three, but then we also have the sword had a name, But then the demon had a name that was different, and I kept on getting
Yes.
confused. I was like, wait, what? Which is which? Like, it just took me a little bit to kind of wrap my head around. Okay, so we're calling the sword a demon slayer because it is made to kill yokai, but also because there's an actual demon who lives inside of it. But it's called, oh lordy, Kamigoroshi. I'm sure I said that wrong. But then it has a name, Hakimono, which is the name of the demon. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot keep it straight.
It was not that confusing in the audiobook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just me as I'm reading it on the page.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Well, and their names are really, really long, and everything looks confusing. But when you hear it enough, you just understand. Yeah,
it makes more sense.
But that's another one of the like anime Japanese tropes is a talking sword. So I was just on board with it. Like, yep.
Okay.
And now we have the talking sword, and here it is, and it's evil, and I love him. So
okay, that makes sense then. I did like that the sword. I did like that it wasn't just like there's a demon trapped inside your sword, but that the demon talked to him. I did enjoy that myself.
Yeah.
And that he's like having to like physically like mentally fight this demon off, because how many times I should have like started counting and keeping track of how many times the demon tells Kage to kill Yumeko. Like I wish I had kept track, because it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a
like
lot.
Every other page.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, just kill her, just do it, you want to.
I can't. I need her. So yeah, I kind of felt bad for Kage though, because as we find out like at the beginning, he's a samurai in the Shadow Clan, but he was raised to be a weapon. And he's essentially taught that that's the only reason for his existence. Like there's this quote that says, I am nothing. I am a weapon in the hands of the Kage. My life only exists to be the bearer of Kamigoroshi, and to obey the orders of the Shadow Clan. Like that's kind of sad.
And then that time, like, he gets hurt and Yumeko, like, is bandaging his wound. And she's like, has no one ever taken care of you? Ever in your entire life? And he's like, no.
Right?
Like, I'm used to the pain. It doesn't even bother me. Like, oh, come on, man.
He puts on that, like, steely personality. Like, I can handle this.
See, and if you had listened to the audiobook, you would have felt it the whole time.
All right, I got to listen to the audiobooks for the next two. You've convinced me now that I need to do that.
You need to.
Okay, I'm going to, like, after this, go on my library's website and see if I can't get the audiobooks. Oh, it's just, like, it was just like his whole existence. He's like, I kill demons because that's the purpose of my existence. Like, that's the only thing. Like, I'm like, you poor thing. You're like 17 years old. And all you think is like, there's no purpose for me except to kill these monsters. And if I can't do this, then there's no point in me living. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, at least he's lucky that yokai are effing everywhere.
Yeah.
So he's fine. He's got a long existence ahead of him.
He does. Fine. He really does. So, yeah. Oh. I like the changes that we see in Yumeko throughout the book, because she is definitely this like poor, confused little girl who knows nothing. Now, she does suffer a huge trauma when all the monks are killed,
Yeah.
So, fine. And granted, like at first you're like, so I am married to someone in the military. So he is and on top of that, he's in the division he's in is security forces. So he's security. So he's like a police in the military kind of. So it's also like he's very, very, very security minded, right? And so when I was reading the beginning of this book, and how the monks are telling her, you have to do this and be careful because other people are going to try and get the scroll and blah, 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 and don't trust anybody. And then, like, as soon as she meets Kage, she's like telling him her life story and all the things. The only thing she didn't tell him was that she had the scroll. And I was like, oh, honey, you are going to get dead within like the first 10 minutes because you just broke like cardinal rule of security and are telling him everything. I was like, oh, but
bless her.
I don't know. It's a sweet little innocent thing, but at least like she does learn, and she gets more confident and becomes stronger and, kind of figures things out as we go. So by the end of the book, she's like, oh, I can totally take on this Oni by myself. Yeah, I got it. Watch out, Demon Slayer. Like, so I like that.
Yeah. I think, can we talk about the Cursed Village a little bit?
Yes,
Because
yes.
that was my favorite episode of the book. Like, I loved that they go to this village and everyone's like, oh, would you like this cabbage? Oh, let me give you a carrot. And they're just like, okay, I'll just take all this stuff. I'm like, here, stay in this nice house. And then all of the ghosts come. We're like, crap. Okay.
I felt like though they should have figured something out before they even stepped foot into the village and they saw that sign that was like, all visitors welcome, please come in, everybody's welcome. And I was like, that's a bad sign. That's not good.
Everybody's welcome to become a sacrifice.
Yes. If they're putting up that sign, something's not right.
It's not a good idea.
And yet they're all like, like sauntering through, like there's no big deal. Oh, yes, we'll take all this food. And the next thing you know, they're human sacrifices to these spirits who are cursed with eternal hunger. So they want to eat anything and everything. Yes. And I was like, okay, so this is where this is going.
It was so good, though.
It was really good. I loved it. And it was an interesting story too, with how like the monk had come to the village like hundreds of years previously. And the people who lived there at that point denied him help, like didn't help him. And so ever since then, the village has been haunted.
Yeah.
And
like, all he wanted was a bowl of rice.
Right.
And now when new people are moseying through their town, they're like, here, have all the food. Here, take every food that we have, everything that we've ever grown in our entire village. It's all for you. Like, well, that's not going to solve the problem because, you made the mistake a long, long time ago. But then, they finally figure it out.
Yeah.
At the end of that episode, they figure it out.
And this was one of the points too, where we see Yumeko like starting to like get more courage because she's like, no, I got to go talk to that monk. There's got to be a way. And everyone's like, no, are you nuts? You got to go through all the gaki. And then of course, Kage is like, oh, I can make us invisible. And I was like, of course you can.
Because of course you can. Yes.
What else can't you do? Do you have a magic ring? Are you harboring Frodo and Bilbo's ring? Like what are we doing?
Yes.
Well, but I know I absolutely loved that part. It was really good. And then picturing these gaki, I don't know how you say it. Of course I don't.
They're just like grotesque.
Kept on like picturing
zombies,
these like nasty zombie things crawling and like just coming and over and not stopping, like there were constant piles of them or something, and just trying to picture like the Ronin shoot them with his bow and arrow.
Yes. I loved that he was an archer, so he could just be like drunk over in the corner and not close enough to accidentally stab and kill anyone, but he's a pretty good archer. So he's just like drinking his sake and then shooting arrows all over the place.
You guys go on ahead. I got it. Yep. I'm drunk, but I can still do it.
Fine. Yeah.
It's fine.
Don't even worry about it. It's cool.
I like the Ronin. He's funny too, because he's one of those who's like, well, I'll go with you this far, but then after that, I'm out and I'm done. Right. And then they get to that point and he's like, well, I feel like you still need my help. I guess I'll stay around a little longer. You
totally still need me, when really it's him. Like he needs them. They're the first people that have like treated him well in a long time. So they've got their own little tiny found family.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite YA things. Found family.
Me too. That's why I love books like this and why I love like Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard, because it's totally different because it's high fantasy. So it is like Lord of the Rings. It's Tolkien, but by Victoria Aveyard. But it is like that same thing, because we've got this group of people who come together to help support this one girl on her mission to save the world. And so they do have this found family feeling. And I absolutely love that. I feel like the found family, along with going on a quest for something to achieve a goal, like I just love those. They're so fun for me.
Yeah.
And that probably actually stems from the fact that like the first book that I really read like that was The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings. Like that was my first intro to that kind of thing. And so now it's just kind of stuck with me all these years later. Yay.
It's precious.
I know. That's why I have 2 sets of those books. I have 2 sets, and then I bought, what was it? It's Nerdy Ink, I think is what it was, did the like special slip covers for the books. And the book, anyway, and I saw them and I was like, oh, those are gorgeous. I have to have those. But they only made them to fit the hardcover books, of course. I have 2 sets of paperbacks. So I was like, but I need them. But I was like, I can't justify buying another set of these books when I already have 2 different sets of them. So what I did was I bought the covers. From Nerdy Ink. And then I went to Goodwill and bought like books, like hardcover books for like $1 that were the same size.
Oh, you bought fake books.
I bought fake books. So I put the covers on it and now they're on display on my bookcase. And I stare at them like every night when I'm sitting in my living room watching TV, and it just makes me so happy because they're so pretty.
And then one day in the far distant future, someone's going to open that book and be like, what the hell is this book?
Somebody did that one day.
The Rings? What is this?
Yeah, somebody did that one day. They came over to our house and they're like, oh, and they picked it up. Oh, I love the Lord of the Rings. And they were like, wait a minute. I said, yeah, just the book covers. My Lord of the Rings are over there. Down there. Wrong shelf.
You've got decoys in case of burglary. I love it.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I want to go back to Kage for a second and just about this whole, like how at the beginning how he had no clue that Yumeko's got the scroll, right? But then can we just talk about how during the book, like as they go episode to episode and all these things happen, right? All the different yokai are there. And then we've got the Wind Witch with her yokai, right? And then Lady Satomi's crows who are watching them and following them. And he's like, he tells Yumeko, oh, because I'm a demon slayer, and I kill yokai, I always have people coming after me. I'm like, really? I'm like, how are you that dense? Like, okay, maybe, but usually it's you going after them to kill the yokai, but all of a sudden they're coming after you when you're with her. Doesn't that seem a little suspicious?
That's a little fishy. It is, yes. But he still has to find out. He doesn't know.
I know. I feel like he may be like big, strong, and able to kill weird creatures, but he's not the sharpest crayon in the box.
No, I feel like he is not at all. He's just like willfully ignorant about this.
Which I feel bad saying because I do like his character, but he's kind of dumb in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he does, I mean, at the end, well, when he turns into when the demon takes over.
Yeah.
So the demon says that he can see Kage can see through the demon's eyes that, Yumeko's a kitsune, however you say it. And so I'm like, okay, so now he knows that, but he still doesn't know that she has the scroll.
How are you not seeing it? Is the container that it's in like some like magically protected or something and we just don't know it? Because how can you not know? She is carrying it's the exact size of a piece of the scroll. How do you not? Okay.
I looked it up because when they were talking about the thing that she's carrying, right, with the scroll in it, I was like, I want to know what type of bag that is or whatever.
What is it?
It's just folded cloth. It's like a piece of fabric that you just fold around the object and it's just folded up and that's it.
You know what? I think I knew that. Knew that. And in my head, I'm just making it like some hard cylinder case. But no, I think I knew that.
Yeah, the folded fabric. And I thought it was funny when he first notices it, when they first together, he's like, oh, she probably just carries whatever meager belongings she has in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're a
Aw.
dummy. But of course, if he figured it out, there would be no book. So I get it. But
That's right. It has to be
I
that
mean,
way.
so I don't know. I do. Okay. So I do like, we talked about Oni no Mikoto, whose real name, I can't remember for the life of me right now. And apparently
yes.
I did not write it down in my notes either. So there's that. I do like him. I love that he says he's like, he's not, a ghost or yokai or whatever, like people think that he is, but he calls himself an artist who is dedicated to swordplay, which of course drove my Princess Bride mind to Inigo Montoya. Because that's where my head goes.
Of course, yes.
If it's not Frozen or Frozen 2, it's the Princess Bride. Like that's the other one. I could see, that's the other thing I could do is totally do a podcast about like the Princess Bride, and I would always have something different to talk about every episode.
Oh, that's
yeah.
amazing.
But no, I really like him a lot though, and I like that he's got like motivation to travel with him because he still wants to have that duel with Kage.
Yes, because it's the best one. It's the fight that he's always been searching for. And here it is.
So we
and
have
they're
to
like,
have
oh
it.
no, we got to kill this giant monster and then we'll just work together for a little while. It's fine.
Now,
He's like always been on this bridge and now like everybody gets to cross the bridge. Shrug.
I will say, so the beginning of book 2, it's funny because they're sitting around and talking about if they're gonna just deliver the scroll or if they're gonna go after Tatsumi as well. And of course Yumeko is like, well, we have to save him. And everyone's like, are you crazy? You can't go up against that demon because the demon is like the most dangerous demon that has ever lived, right? And so she's like, well, I have to go. And they're all trying to decide if they're going to go with her. And of course, what does our Oni no Mikoto say? Well, I do have to go because I still want to fight him in that duel. And I was like, of course you do.
Of course you do.
I will battle you, the most dangerous demon to ever live in this world, because I want to have a duel with this swordsman. Like, okay, all right, that makes sense, I guess. So
it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But so one of our other episodes was then they go to that other shrine to find the monk who is able to tell her how to get to the other temple she needs to get to, where she's going to leave the scroll. So we think, who knows though what happens in the next book. And then they get to that shrine and the shrine maiden totally knows right away that she's Kitsune.
Yes.
Which is hilarious. I felt like that scene with her was like a mother scolding a 5-year-old child. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She's like, you know that you're this. What are you doing with them? Why are you doing this? And I was like, oh my gosh. What is happening?
Can you just talk a little bit quieter, please? Because she has kept this from everyone the entire book.
Right?
You're going to ruin it.
Like, are you going to go put her in the corner now and time out also? Because I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen right now. Then, of course, the monk who they need to see isn't there. Because why? Ooh, Lady Satomi comes back into the picture.
Oh, yes. I loved her. I mean, she's terrible.
She is terrible.
She's completely awful. But, I mean, I love all of the bad guys all the time in every single book that I read.
Well, they're fun.
So powerful and evil.
Yes.
Oh, my God. She's terrible, but I loved her.
Well, and then because this is when we find out that she's a blood mage. Like we know that she's evil, but we don't know why she's able to call the demons and do all the things. So then we find out that she's a blood mage. Can I just tell you how much I really liked her mirror gateway? Like, how awesome would that be to have a mirror that you could walk through to go wherever the heck you wanted?
Yeah.
That's the best thing ever.
Like, why would you be anyone else? You have to be her. She's
right?
The best. Yeah.
Like, if I had that, whatever, I'll be evil.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm already evil anyway. I might as well have a blood mirror. It's fine.
I gotta be honest, like I was actually kind of a little disappointed that she got killed at the end of this book.
I know. And it
I
was
wanted,
just like, oh, done. Oh, dead.
right? I wanted her around longer for the next
Yep.
book.
Nope.
Then it wasn't even satisfied. I was like, oh. And then the guy who does it, whose name I'm not going to even attempt at all to pronounce. Do you know how to say that?
I do not remember from the audiobook, so
It's
I would
like
also just equally butcher it.
Segetsu? I don't
Yeah,
even know.
something like that. Yeah.
But he looks and he sees Suki and he's like, oh, she's not coming back. You can go now. Like if you were just be here to haunt her, you can go.
Yeah. You're fine. She's gone.
Poor Suki. She goes off, but
Suki.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So they give him a name like right away. And I remember going back through and looking for, I was like, am I supposed to know that name? Was I supposed to remember him? Or is he somebody new? But I think he was just somebody new.
Yeah, I feel like he's probably going to be like the big bad of the entire trilogy,
Yeah.
maybe, because he was just introduced there at the very end,
Right.
So.
And she was talking to her master through the skull.
Yes.
And then this guy comes in and kills her. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like, is he the master? Is he betraying somebody else? Like what? Because she talks to, this is how evil she is. Because she talks to the master like everything is going as planned. Ha ha ha. Right. And then her conversation ends with the skull. And then she's like, oh, but I've got my own agenda and I'm going to betray you, you stupid man, or being, whatever it is, demon, who the heck knows? We don't know who her master is. And then this guy comes in and is like, oh, no, you're not. I am going to kill you and I'm going to be the one to take over the world. I'm like, okay. How many more? Anybody else want to come in the room now?
See, but this is just like anime. You've got this one bad guy throughout the entire book, and then they're immediately destroyed for someone more powerful and terrifying to take their place.
Okay.
That's just what happens. So
it makes me wonder then, is this new guy going to be gone at the end of the second book and somebody even worse comes into place for the third book?
I don't know. We're definitely going to have to keep on reading so we can find out.
Yes, for sure. Oh, although if I decide to do it on audiobook, I'm going to have to wait because I have to finish Cursed first. Although I have started doubling up on Cursed because I was able to get it from the library, the hard copy. I've been listening. I just finished another book that I was reading. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put that aside. So I've been listening to the audiobook of Cursed in my car, like on the way to and from work and whatnot. And then I come home, I find my place in the book. And so I read a few chapters on that. So then I can then I skip ahead on the audiobook for the next. I'm like, I just want to get to the end of it and find out what happens. So I'm trying to double up on it and read it super fast. But as soon as I finish that, then I can go to the audiobooks of these ones to finish this. But yeah. All right. So I know that we weren't super big on the romance thing.
Sure.
But that is what causes Kage Tatsumi here to give in to the demon so that the demon's able to take over him. Because little by little, he notices things about Yumeko and he's like, oh, in this moment, she looks so beautiful. And then it's all these little moments, little tiny moments that finally add up. And then his very last thought before the demon takes over is of her. So it's even though he wasn't supposed to be distracted by her because he's just a weapon, he did get distracted by her. So then the demon was able to come in and take over him. So
she just broke him down. She broke down his steely exterior.
She did.
To get to the meaty goodness on the inside.
Now she's at the point where she's like, I will go and fight the worst demon to have ever lived by myself because I need to save him.
And then, he's going to, well, he knows that she's kitsune now. So, is he even going to care about her? Is this going to be a whole nother thing? Is it going to be a whole nother thing? Oh, but I can love her. Oh, she's a demon, but I do love her. And then it's going to completely change his entire character.
Oh, totally. Well, he'll be completely different by the end of book 3, especially because, he's a demon now. So,
yeah.
So This is the other thing that I'm wondering is how long is he going to be overtaken by the demon? Like, will he be separated from the demon by the end of book 2? Or is that going to be like all the way to book 3? It's like what I was saying at the beginning. I felt like this book it's hard to judge how much I'm going to get in one book because there's so much that needs to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, how much am I going to see here?
See, I feel like because we've spent an entire book with Kage, I feel like he can't be the demon for very long into book 2 because we know him and we love him as the one character. So I feel like that's got to end.
That makes
He's
sense.
got to come back to himself. I could be, and probably am 1000% wrong, but that's just my dream, that he's going to come back to himself sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Cause I haven't looked, probably because it's on my Kindle. I haven't looked ahead. Like if I had the like book in my hands, I would totally like flip through the chapters and look at that because like I said, this book does have the names on the titles.
Yeah.
I would totally flip through and like look and be like, okay, when do we get to his real name like versus the demon? But I haven't done that because it's on my Kindle.
Well, can you do like a search function on your Kindle? Can you just type in his name and see what it comes back?
I can do it. I just like I can hold it and then it'll pop up and show me like all the pages. And so I can like just scroll and zip through really fast. So I just haven't done it.
Yeah. You need that. You need to do that.
Check.
You can't just use Control F and find it.
Right?
That's cheating. That's not as much fun.
No. So yeah. So we end our book with he's the demon. Hikemono has taken over. And so he's gone on a rampage and is probably going to destroy lots of villages and people and all the things, of course.
Probably.
He knows now that she's a kitsune. And well, everybody knows now. They all know.
Yeah.
All of them know. Everybody in her little party. And then Master Yuro's like, oh, Reika will go with you to the Steel Feather Temple too. And Yumeko's like, okay. And I was like, all right, what's one more person added to our little party? So they're all going to go to the Steel Feather Temple. I keep wondering how far is it Master Yuro? Is that how you say it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I keep wondering how far he's going to go with them because he said, well, Reiko will go with you to the Steel Feather Temple. He didn't say he was gonna.
Right, yeah.
So I'm thinking he may go back to his own temple, but we'll see.
He's just going to be there with his 2 little corgi dogs.
I know. 2 little dogs. That was so cute.
I got so sad when the one that was with him, like keeping him safe, like, oh, hello, are you alive? And then her little tail wagged, like, oh, okay, whew. We don't have to worry about having that happen at the end.
I know. I was like, come on, are you going to kill the cute little dogs?
Don't kill the dogs.
You want to kill the people, fine, but don't kill the little dogs.
Don't kill the dogs. Murder all the people.
That's right.
Become like a living sword and murder everyone, and that's fine. But don't hurt the dogs.
No, we can't hurt the little doggies because they're too cute.
No.
So now we have our friends who are going to go on our adventure now in book 2 to try and get to the Steel Feather Temple to deliver this piece of the scroll so that it's safe there. Lady Satomi is dead, not dead. She's dead. And now we have our new bad guy. And so we have to see what happens there. I don't know. We'll see. This is going to be interesting.
It's gonna be a fun adventure.
Yes, definitely. I was really excited too when I read this and when I finished it because it is such a good adventure and it has a good kind of cliffhanger and leaves you wanting more, because I had also just recently finished Beautiful Creatures, which was good, but it's like there's not a cliffhanger. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So I was like, after I read it, I was like, I can stop here. Like, I don't need to read the other 3 books in the series. I'm good.
Yeah. I might have read 2 or 3 of those. I don't think I read the entire thing.
I have read the second one now. Ago. So I've done 1 and 2. But even again, it's the same thing with the end of the second book. It's like, I could read the next one. I might not. I don't know. I mean, they're good, but it's just different. But whereas something like this, like I really love a good cliffhanger at the end. Now it drives I say that, but I love a good cliffhanger when I know that I can go and read the next book right away.
Yes.
When I finish it,
if you have to wait
that's
for
torture.
that is torture. See,
Like,
now you need to go and read what we're reading on the podcast right now, the Raven Boys. Have you read that series? Because the end of the first book has one of the best cliffhangers ever.
I've not read one of those yet. I think I started a different book that she wrote and I didn't like it. So because I didn't like it, I haven't picked up anything else by her.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
well, just go and listen to episodes of Fictional Hangover. It's fine.
Okay. I can just do that because you do all the spoilers and I'll be fine with that. So
yeah, it'll be fine.
I'll listen to your episodes.
We've done books 1 and 2 so far. Book 3 is coming up next. So
okay, awesome. I will listen to those. I will do that. Well, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media and listen to your podcast?
All right. Yeah, you can find Fictional Hangover anywhere you listen to podcasts, on all social media at Fictional Hangover, except for Twitter, because there's not enough characters on Twitter. So we're at Fictional Hangover, no ER on Twitter. But you can find us everywhere. We've got a website where all of our summaries are, all of them are there. Well, not quite all of them, but most of them are there. And we've got a shop on Redbubble where you can buy our ridiculous merchandise. We've got a Patreon. We're all over the place. Come and hang out with us.
They do fun stuff on Instagram too, you guys, because I love how you always do the would you rathers, because they're always ridiculous, but they're super fun.
That's one of my favorite things. We do 5 questions on each episode of a Fictional Hangover, but we have the first one that we share on social media, and we have to make them, I don't want to say dumb them down, but we have to make them the most basic thing. So you can answer the question even if you've not read the book. But then when we have the episodes and we get really, really far into it, they're always so terrible. And it's the worst decisions that you ever have to make.
Totally.
And I love them.
And some of them are really disgusting too.
Yeah.
But they're great.
Yeah. I feel like that's just a really good description of Fictional Hangover. Disgusting, but great.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard anybody describe their podcast in such a way.
Look, it's terrible and I love it.
I love it. It's fun. It's really a fun podcast. I will enjoy listening to you guys. Plus, also, in case if you've never listened to it, Claire is from England. And so she's got this fantastic accent that you get to listen to as well while you're listening. So
it's super delightful. Fun. We had one of our Patreon super fans join us in the past couple of episodes talking about Heartbreaker Heartstopper. And she is also British. And then they just go off on little British tangents. And I'm like, I'm American. I don't understand.
What was that word that you just said? I don't know. We use a different word over here for that.
Stop it. What is that? What are you even talking about? And they went on a thing in Heartstopper Volume 2, that episode, and they just went back and forth for I don't even know how long, going, nah, mate, what you doing, mate? Oh, mate. What is happening?
I love that. That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. That's like when Bethany and I do episodes together and we end up going on these rants about how about things that from when we were younger and grew up, because we're both older reading young adult, and I'm older than Bethany is, but we still remember a lot of these same things, like this book that terrified us both as children, and the library that was like a bus that had library books on it and came to your school. And so we'll go on these tangents and talk about these things, and then we'll be like, yeah, I'll be like, Bethany, your listeners who are all 16 and 17 have no clue what we're talking about right now.
They have no idea. Oh man, Claire and I talked about Twilight the other day. So we have a Twilight episode now. Oh my gosh. But there were so many things that happened in that book, and we're like, just Google it. Just Google that, because you're not going to understand what it is. Calling her own answering machine. He's carrying around a camcorder and watching a VCR. Everyone just go Google that. Just go Google it.
Have you ever seen the videos on Instagram of teenagers today being given a rotary phone and being like, here, you have 2 minutes to dial a phone number on that. And then they're like, I don't know what to do. And when those like teleties started coming out, the hairbands, I looked and I was like, I remember first seeing them like a couple years ago with my students and going, what is that? It's a teletie. I said, what do you use it for? I put it in my hair to hold my hair up. And I was like,
nah,
do you know what that is?
It's just a phone cord. Just a phone cord. Stop it.
They're like,
your hair's going to
what?
get tangled up in that phone cord.
Like, that's what it is. It's a phone cord. I used to have a phone that had that as its cord. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you have no idea, child.
And that phone was in the kitchen. And you could pull the cord all the way across into the living room and sit down on the couch.
Or if you needed privacy, you would pull it into the bathroom that was right there and close the bathroom door. But then everybody would like trip over the phone cord because it'd be like strung across the kitchen. I can't. I mean, okay, kids today just have no clue. No clue. Oh my gosh.
No clue at all.
So much fun. Okay, anyways, this is probably the longest wrap up I've ever done, but it's super fun, so I don't care.
Fine.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for reading this book and then for coming and chatting about it with me. This is so fun.
Definitely. Yes, I always love coming on your show, and you need to come on Fictional Hangover sometime. What are we waiting on here?
I don't know.
What's the hold up?
I don't know. I would love to do that. We need to do that.
You need to. You definitely need to join us. You have to play Would You Rather. I don't even know what you'll do.
I don't know either, but I want to do it. So
are you going to survive all 5 questions?
Probably not. All right. You give me a book and I will be there. So
okay, I'm doing it. I'll pick out one. Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we will chat again soon. Today's episode featured the book Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. Be sure to follow YA Book Chat on Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you get your episodes as soon as they are available. And have you checked out the YA Book Chat Patreon yet? You should. There's lots of fun perks at each level. YA Book Chat was created by, is hosted, and edited by me, Leah Stuhler.